don't think just because they have money that they're not capable of choking you out. Just because they have a certain name, they don't ignore the red flags because all you're seeing is what
the green. Hi, YouTube world.
Welcome
to
Mad Mix.
I'm your host, Mary.
Tiara.
Welcome back to another show.
Yes, exciting.
Exciting indeed. We are here in the middle of this beautiful rose garden in Dallas. We love going to just gardens, botanicas. Obviously, you can tell that we love being outdoors, but rose gardens in particular, or any kind of like a Japanese garden, if anything like that in your city or where you live, definitely recommend you go. Grab a book,
nature preserve.
Just go enjoy. I brought my little rose from home just to kind of walk around and just enjoy nature and really connect with your femininity and your inner frequency, inner goddess frequency.
Absolutely.
It's like this is the best place to channel that. It's somewhere like a rose garden.
Rose, highest frequency.
Something like that, right?
Definitely bask in that. It's the season to go outside. My favorite season besides spring is definitely fall. I love all the colors. I love the weather. We're getting some fall weather in Texas.
Yes.
So, which is super exciting.
Shout out to all the witchy gals and happy fall.
Happy fall indeed. All right.
So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the sprinkle movement.
Oh yes.
So if you see us looking down, we're just referring to our notes here.
Just a little notes here.
Perfect. So
the sprinkle movement. Shout out to Aunt Shera.
Miss Shera 7.
Love it. But really the trend of the sprinkle movement, which is
dating older and the sprinkle life. And this is not something that's new, obviously.
No.
Women have been dating older, richer since the start of time. We all know the fastest way a woman can generate wealth is through marriage. It's through marrying well. And it's no secret that that hypergamy and that idea of women that carry themselves a certain way and have a certain standard marry a certain type of man, and it's just something that we've kind of accepted. But I think what the change has been is the popularization of the hypergamous movement, and as well as kind of like girls not understanding that there's a huge difference between dating older or dating to find like a provider or financially stable person, or just finding somebody with money that you could take advantage of, or somebody that is just looking to exchange what they can bring to you financially for what you can bring to them, either physically, emotionally, but on like a limited basis. It's not dating, it's sugaring. It's it's sex work. It's essentially and that's the part that we don't necessarily like to talk about, but it is what it is, and no shame or nothing when we say that. We don't mean to say it's a good or bad thing. I completely support you getting your money how you want to get it, but there's a difference, and there's a whole different mentality that comes with sugaring, being like a sugar baby, or even just escorting or doing things where you show up a certain way and you expect to be paid a certain amount, versus just wanting to find a lifelong partner or finding being like a girlfriend, or something more long term, which requires more of groundwork, but as well as it's not as fickle. It has to be like it's very solid, and it's something that you're actually like, it's a lifestyle, not just something you do to generate income. And if you had extra cash, you would not even look towards that person's direction.
Exactly. When you make the intentional choice of wanting to level up and live a certain lifestyle and go out there and really like vet men that are providers, and you are looking at it more in the long term than just versus the short term of what you're wanting out of somebody or relationship, you really cannot fake the funk. You can't, for example, let me be more specific. You're talking to a man and you really wouldn't ever connect with him in any other way. But he has a certain level of, I guess, what, money. So you are, you are attracted to that, and so you sleep with him or you exchange energies with this man, but you feel so, you judge yourself at the end. You just never feel good, after the fact.
Right.
You cannot funk energy. You cannot put a price on that.
Yeah.
And so what all these young men or young women, what all these young women, from what I see, are displaying is like just making it seem like, oh, older men got money. Okay, if he got money, then he'll give me this or this lifestyle that I need. It's more of so also vetting the energy of who these men are with money, right? Just because he has money. Just because he's a certain age, it doesn't necessarily mean that he is a provider. One, two, that he will, take everything and do everything in your best interest. It might just be a short amount of goal thing for him. So you kind of just have to be realistic with that. And you can't, if you're in it to get, money and then get out, if you're doing that, what the energy is, the risks and the sacrifice that you have to make
Yeah.
for that exchange, and that's fine. And
Yeah,
that's
and
what you're going to do.
let's talk about that. Like, what does it take to what does it take to really be in that life where whether you're sugaring, whether you're just online, you know, finessing. It's another word for it. It's called finessing. It can even go down like into like the fetish hole, into like findom as well. But
Tricking.
it's we're getting meant to trick, right? So it's like these things are not old, but what we understood was like if the girls that did this, they were always the girls that kind of knew what they were getting themselves into.
Right.
You're not over there trying to find a trick and a husband at the same time. Like you understood that these people, they probably have other families, they probably have their lives, they probably have married. Like there's always like a clear boundary. But what has happened since the sprinkle life movement has been taken over, and since people lack discernment,
right,
and they don't understand what Shera is saying, and they can't take what she's saying apart, because people can't rationalize and compartmentalize things in their brain. What people took away from it is that, oh, all broke men, like dusties, go to death to all dusties, and I'm only gonna deal with rich men. And it's like, okay, cool. And then so they're like, what does it mean to find somebody that that has money, that's a good person, that is also looking to be with somebody of a certain caliber, whether that's physically or psychologically? How do you align towards that? Because if you don't align energetically, naturally, because you've done the work, like, so you understand that there's no going back. You understand this is my worth, this is the standard I've set for myself, and it's either going to work for me, or I'm going to just be satisfied with not,
right. And
with
if you
not
take
doing
everything that comes your way, right,
right,
and you're
or
not
you're
really
desperate,
specific
yeah,
with the, being
you will get
intentional
played.
of
Yeah.
what man that you are wanting to pursue or be in partnership with, you really can get anything. Because if you're not specific, I mean, you could just come across with anyone,
Right.
and you have to like have the discernment to really just vet out these men. Just because they have money, it does not mean that they're not negative thinkers. Just because they look a certain way, just because they're older, also it doesn't mean that they're not fools.
Right, the old fool, right.
So
And then
that's the
so
thing.
that's the first thing you need to decide. Am I looking for a relationship, or am I looking to find men to trick on me? Am I looking to just find a financial companionship? And so once you decide that part, cool, you decided that. You have to be willing to leave certain emotions out of that game. If you have certain emotions, or if you don't know how to control your emotions, if you are just starting on your self-worth journey, like, do not attempt to do any of these things. Like, this is not for you, because this shit is not for the weak. Women that participate in this do it well, and understand the sacrifices that come with it. Just same like strippers and things like that, where they will talk to you about the psychological effects of what they do. But you have to understand that to even protect yourself from that.
Exactly.
And then, but you say, hey, that's not what I want. I just really want to find a partner that actually wants to provide for me. I feel like a lot of us that we're not looking for the latter. We're not looking for a bunch of tricks. Most I feel like everyday women, I feel like why they're so attracted to the sprinkle sprinkle movement is that they've dated men that were basically like useless, and they've been in relationships where they've had to take the financial, psychological, emotional burden, and they were not wise. They made decisions that messed them up, and part of that accountability is them like saying like, you know what, the answer to this is only to date like old rich white men or old white men in general, instead of being like, why do I attract that kind of relationship? Let me do the
Exactly.
work on myself.
The leveling
Where
up journey. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and going they have not gone through that journey,
Mhm.
but yet they just see like, oh, like everybody's just dating older and living a perfect life, because obviously that's what we're programmed to believe based on what we see. And it's like, you people are confused. So then that's why you see a bunch of people are saying, "Oh, going back to dating, my age again. Like I tried to date older, did not work.
Because
I
that's
tried
not how it is.
because it doesn't matter."
Yeah, you have to level up not only
Mhm.
on the outside, of course. You should always look your best, but you got to really mentally level up. Mentally be very stingy with your energy. Mentally really know your worth. And if
Yeah.
you exude that, you're not going to attract garbage. You're not going to
Period.
attract
Yeah.
somebody that does not think of you in that sense. Does that make sense? So it's more of like jumping from one thing to another and
Mhm.
not understanding
Yeah.
what you are attracting is based off on what you are
Mhm.
vibrating. So you have to be intentional, and you have to really sit there and level up mentally and spiritually, and really re-exam and really just like declutter and let go of things that you might have um, been holding on to that keeps you keep attracting people of the same type of pattern.
Right.
Yeah, you can attract a man that has money, but in the sense he will still not think of your worth, or
Yeah.
there's something that he will do, or you just have to sit down and take your time, and it's not something to sit there and jump from one thing to another. You have to be specific on what you want, especially when it comes to partnership, because those are the biggest lessons that we have in life, and those are the reflection of how we are and what we feel about ourselves. So just because you went to an older guy and he wasn't wise and handsome and welcoming and embracing, and now you're saying, oh yeah, that's not it, because the men are not in that caliber are like that too. It doesn't matter. You see, like when you go back to what you're used to because you think that's a certain way, yeah, that's your truth. But if you do the self work of as to why you keep attracting the same type of people, men specifically, and in the people that you date, then you can kind of, you know, I don't want to
Recognize the
say heal,
patterns. Yeah.
but level up to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm not worthy of that. I don't care who it is, what they're doing in life, and what it is. I just know what I know about myself. I'm not going to settle down. I'm not going to just, you know, go with this guy because he has money, or go with this guy because I think I'm in love. No, like you're going to know what directions to take based on how you set the mood, right? Like you set the mood, and how you treat yourself is how everybody else is going to treat you. So yeah, level up mentally, level up physically, of course. That should always be a thing. But I
And
feel
know
like
what
we
you
stop
want.
at the
Mhm.
wigs and lipstick. Like
Yeah.
we need to do the inner work of really seeing why we attract people that treat us that way. Because it has to be something that you also have. Because there's no way it wouldn't even make sense to attract people that treat you that way if you don't think somewhere,
Right.
and you're not, that's kind of how I feel about that.
Yes, the importance of aligning energetically to the things you want and doing the work.
Mm.
That way you have strong intuition and discernment. Intuition is what's going to help you figure out if the situation you're in is, well, I should say discernment is what's going to help you figure out whether you should engage in a situation,
Mm-hmm.
and your intuition is going to let you know whether you should continue to participate in it. So when those things are not strong, you really can get pulled around everywhere. It's much, much, much better just to be single and figure out what this means for you than go through unnecessary trauma, and then now you have to heal from that too. Like how annoying.
Or
Like
put yourself in some serious danger.
yeah, it can be
Like
very
seriously.
extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think some of the advice I would give to young girls, like I think that's the safety aspect of it is very important. I know when I was younger than I was now, when I was dating older, especially when I was living in the UK. I remember I used to like go hop on a train and meet people to go have like dinner with, or I would maybe call an Uber but not really have money for an Uber back, but kind of just being like, oh well, I'll ask him or I'll figure it out. Like I took a lot of unnecessary risks. I'm speaking from experience when I was like dating older or when I was dating financially, because my goal was to find a financial provider. It wasn't that, oh, dating a financial provider is part of the standards I have in dating. It was just like, oh, okay, so you go online, you meet men that have money, you meet them or you finesse them or whatever, and then so half the time, or I would take unnecessary risks and be in vulnerable situations where I'll be depending on that person, and luckily I've never been. All right, a little change of scenery.
Just a little.
Our mics died, funny enough, so we had to charge it in the car.
Walk around the park.
Yes, it was my fault. I didn't realize you had to charge the microphone part of this. Not very thoughtful. Not cutesy.
No.
Basically, I found myself in very dangerous situations because I was naive and thinking that, hey, I'm just dating so I was treating it like a side hustle almost. I was dating to finesse and get money, but not realizing that I didn't understand how these men are smart and smarter than you realize. And there's a reason why they date women that are young.
Exactly.
And yeah, they might be willing to pay for everything and pay your way there and back, but you need to make sure in the back of your head, hey, somebody knows where I am. I have funds to get home if I need to, and I'm not relying on this person to eat tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's an imbalance that you don't need when you're trying to date somebody. And no, you don't have to be rich or at the same financial level as the men you're trying to date, but you need to make sure that you're financially abundant and you have your frequency with money is aligned.
Exactly.
Because that's how you're going to find other people with that. It's about matching frequencies with the other person. That's why men don't necessarily need you to bring money, but they need you to be almost as financially smart as they are.
And also bring that energy of what femininity is, which is abundance, right?
Right.
So like you have to kind of have that, and just because he has money,
right,
it doesn't mean he's generous.
And these men know when you're being desperate. They can smell when you don't have the resources. That's why the knowledge. That's why men, love dating apps, and you just be like, oh, he's old, I'm young, I'm gonna finesse him, and then what happens? You end up getting played. I think for us, it's more about finding intentionally dating men that can provide for you, that can show up for you in a way where you can have a certain lifestyle for the long run,
right?
And not necessarily just a finesse journey. So I think that's something that we can definitely talk about. I can't teach you about finesse. I'm not the best finesser. I'm not the best at like disassociating my feelings from situations. And I found that I wasn't just looking for somebody to shovel money out to me. I'm looking for a long-term partnership. So in that in mind, it's been a whole new journey, and dating looks so much different when you try to align your frequency with the right people. To be in a room full of billionaires, you need to have a certain frequency.
Exactly.
So I'm more about aligning my frequency and my energy towards that. And that's where I am.
Yeah, like I seek money in men and also a certain abundant mindset for a reason, because I know what that brings. I know what that energy looks like, feels like. So it's more of I'm seeking for that more so than the actual like the quick money, get the money and then go, or whatever it is.
Start of people.
And yeah, I mean, it's a start though. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We're just trying to tell you
if you choose to do that,
just be safe about it, and don't think just because they have money that they're not capable of choking you out. Just because they have a certain name, they don't ignore the red flags, because all you're seeing is what
the green.
just don't be stupid. There's also rich dusties too, and dusty is really the energy of that lack, right?
Yeah.
So seek that abundance in the mentality. seek that and the wealth aspect of it in a man, and don't settle for just like anyone that comes your way just because they have money, or
Don't be desperate.
don't think that, oh my gosh, this is the only guy I've ever met with that takes care of this and that takes care of that, so
Get used to
therefore you
it.
have to be used to how he treats
Yeah.
you. No, be very particular, be very picky. Don't settle down. If you know, the whole sprinkle movement is about having a lifestyle. It's not just quick in and out, and it's not necessarily a an easy thing to accomplish, because it's a progress. It's more of like a long term progress and like a journey than it is just like, you know, get it done and then go.
A get rich quick scheme.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than that. And I think people that's why we really want to make this video, is understanding that the sprinkle life and the sprinkle movement is about getting money. You know, Shera, the financial advisor, not the relationship guru, not the dating coach,
right?
Not your dusty advisor, but a financial advisor, and a comedian. But I would say that don't play yourself, and just understand that that's the difference. That we want to just say that, to me, that's how I feel like that's the difference between these two movements.
Use your intuition.
The reason why these girls are getting played. So you went from getting played by men your age to getting played by old men. That makes no sense. So understand that you're the only common denominator in the situation, and you need to understand how to level up.
Yes, define level up. Yes, looks, always. You could always level up in looks, but actually like read books, find out different ways to like
be interesting.
Yeah, have
and then when you're what kind of conversations do rich people have? What are rich activities? Are you going out there and doing rich activities? You know, thanks, sis.
Do you actually like?
Yeah.
Do you actually like being this way? Like,
or are you willing to make the sacrifice?
Yeah.
Because there's certain sacrifices you have to make to be in these kind of lifestyle.
Right.
Are you willing to be in the gym every day and eat a certain way and straighten your hair, or present so you can have the best outcome and blend in these rooms, because they're not looking for people that are standing out. Exactly. And there is a certain like homogenous, characteristic that you need to have. If to appear, and even whether they're white or black, there's that respectability that you must have, and so you have to be very smart about who you're trying to attract and how to attract them. And I think that's something that we can, in the future, make more series about.
Yeah,
just
because personally, we kind of are there now, right?
That's the journey we're at.
Yeah,
is intentionally dating providers, intentionally dating men that are their head is is in a different level. Space, like I can't even tell you when the last time a man that would be considered dusty stepped to me. Like you can't even step to me, because my aura, my energy, everything around me, the activities I do for myself, the places I shop, where I work, we don't even go into the same places.
I used to think like not being approached by a typical guy, or I guess you call him dusty, was a thing. But now I'm like, if I know that guy is not approaching me, I know that I've done a great job of not being basic and leveling up to the point where even energetically, like she said, they won't even make eye contact with you, because spirit, like the energy,
they just know that they can't. She's not checking for me.
Can't afford her, and I'd rather be honest with me than waste my time.
Exactly.
But as a lady, don't just really
know what you
calm
want.
down, slow down. Yeah. Okay. If you get in the bag, know exactly what you're providing and know exactly what energy that you are calling out. If you're sugaring, using money for men, or using men for money, just know that them asking for sex is probably not going to be too far-fetched. And, just that's why, there's ways to go about it. You know what I mean? But if you really are in this for a long haul, and you really are looking for an actual provider and a long-term partner, there is a thing of changing the way you think and changing and growing as a person.
And the work you do on yourself.
That has to take place. Yeah. And that's why it's not working for you, because honey, it's not a 30-day program. Like it's a whole life, 30 years. Like
it's not just about having the right way, having the right body, and walking out and getting it done.
As part of it.
If it was that easy, then it would be done. But there's so much more to it. And so we're excited to talk more about this in the future, and just talk to y'all more about the difference, and I guess add a little bit more to the conversation, a little bit more clarity, and also just adding a little more nuance, because some people have missing the forest for the trees,
Something.
whatever that saying is.
Yeah, seriously.
And so I think people need to be very clear, and it's very dangerous for you if you don't.
Yeah.
So be very mindful of what you're getting yourself into. Don't let nobody shame you for any lifestyle that you chose. Just always just know that nobody can judge you or make you feel bad about something that you already made peace on your own. So if whether you're sugaring, whether you are just dating older, whether you're deciding you're not dealing with just men your age, but you're not dealing with men that don't have certain things, do not let people shame you into changing that.
Right.
Because those standards and boundaries, like, eventually you're gonna find what you're looking for.
But just have awareness about yourself. Having awareness is a total different thing than judging yourself or feeling less than, or saying, oh my gosh, like I can never get it right, or I can never attract somebody. That don't stay in that energy too much, because you don't want to vibrate in that intentionally. But just be aware. Be like, okay, I'm aware of that now, so therefore I'm going to work on that. And books. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like listening to books, and like, or it could be YouTube too sometimes, just long podcast conversations about things that
having interest and like diving into those interests.
Yes.
Because like you have certain interests, and then so you got books about those interests. You're diving into it. You're having more conversations about it. That way, whenever you can come to the table and y'all have conversations. You don't have to know everything.
No.
You just have to kind of know generally what's going on in the world. Have an opinion, have a brain of your own.
Exactly.
I know they think that this lifestyle doesn't involve being smart, but intelligence is very attractive. No matter what, it's not the most important thing for a woman, but it's very attractive.
It is,
and
not only attractive, you're gonna be able to useful.
You're going to be able to be in situations and navigate in rooms because you have the depth and the range to be in it. And that whether they could talk about how good you look or how good you don't look, but if you're smart and alluring in that sense, nobody could take that away from you. And that goes back to our last video about working on the other stuff. All these topics connect.
Yeah, I know it gets really boring and really repetitive, and you're like, oh, everyone keeps saying I need to. You can't skip it. You just can't. Like, you have to go through those things. You just have to. Like, it's something, and I say that because I was trying to skip and bypass the work my shit, and so I could but you can't. Even you attract the same energy, but like, I guess with different car or different bank account, but it will still be the same energy. And like, also listen to your intuition. We have that magical thing about us as women,
a gut feeling.
Do not ignore your gut feeling. Always just be intentional about things. And intuition is honestly one of those things that it's a gift, because it saved me in a lot of things, and it saved me in, like, also, I mean, in men, in life or whatever, but more so in men. When
that gut feeling be so real,
it be so loud, and you ignore it on purpose.
It's always right. You always like, I knew it. Like, you're never wrong. So definitely that's part of also having that confidence and self-confidence and self-worth, because nobody else can tell you anything. Because
and that comes with time.
Yes.
And I get it. When you're young, you might not have the time or the experience, so just maybe jot down the thing of make safety be important. Safety. So remember, always be safe, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're going on a date with. Always make sure that you are watching out for yourself and having something in measure. Whether it's having somebody know your location, sending the itinerary, keeping your friends updated, making sure even when you call an Uber and you might be like a little intoxicated, just making sure there's people that know that where you are at all times. That's just a safety aspect. It really is. It could save your life.
It's just like just unnecessary things that could be avoided. Being safe, and then also know what you want and when in this life. Beyond dating, the more sure you are about the things that you want, the faster that it's going to align and get to you quicker.
Well, with that being said, that concludes this video.
Thank you for joining us for another episode.
Absolutely.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace. Look at this beautiful sunset.
She said no dust guilt.
Look at this beautiful Texas sunset and this beautiful park. Bye.